It is time to talk a little waiver wire, week 2. I think the most important thing, I see this every year, is to not overreact to week 1. There are a lot of things that take place, a lot of things that don't take place, and a lot of it evens out in the end. So keep that in mind as we're talking about waiver wire targets, trade targets. Have a couple trade targets for you at the end, so stay tuned until the end. And let's start this waiver wire show off in style, shall we? Let's talk about Dylan Sampson. I suggested Dylan Sampson last week. If he's available, he's rostered in 46% of Yahoo leagues. I would be comfortable spending anywhere from 8 to 10% fab, maybe up to 12% if you have Quentin Johnston, if you have Jerome Ford, one of those two guys. He played on 33 of 76 of the snaps, but he ran 15 routes and was targeted 8 times. Sampson also led the team in carries with 12, even though he was out-snapped by Jerome Ford, 41 to 33. And his final stat line, now he wasn't efficient on the ground, 12 carries, 29 yards, but in the passing game, 8 receptions, 64 yards, no touchdowns. Until Quentin Johnston comes back, it looks like Dylan Sampson is going to be the running back that you want in fantasy football, especially in PPR leagues, because it's going to be him that gets the primary workload in the passing game, and he looked more explosive than Jerome Ford and was more efficient than Jerome Ford and outcarried Jerome Ford. So Dylan Sampson, for all those reasons and more, I think he's playable in the flex depending on the matchup. And especially if you have Quentin Johnston, I would go make him a priority, assuming he's available. Now, this is the week for wide receivers. There aren't too many running backs that I would go out there and add, but Hollywood Brown is the obvious one. He's rostered in just 26% of leagues. I would be comfortable spending anywhere from 8 to 10% of your fab, maybe like 12 to 15% if you have Xavier Worthy. I don't know if I would go too much higher than that, but Andy Reid described Xavier Worthy's dislocated shoulder as day to day, and we already know that Rashee Rice is going to be out another 5 weeks. So Hollywood Brown enters the arena, and he played 57 of 61 offensive snaps on Friday night. He ran routes on 46 of 47 possible routes. He was targeted 16 times, 10 receptions, 99 yards, 0 touchdowns. Now, this role in the offense, we've seen it before. It's the Rashee Rice role. It was the Travis Kelce role. It was the Xavier Worthy role at the end of last season. Now it appears as though Hollywood Brown has that role of just getting peppered with these short targets over the middle of the field. Now, it's not going to last because when Xavier Worthy comes back, he's going to assume that role again, and he was likely going to be in line for that role on Friday. When Rashee Rice comes back, downgrade both of these guys, and I doubt Hollywood Brown's going to be worth playing much at all. But for the short term, if you need a replacement for Xavier Worthy, that is really the only scenario that I see where you should spend more than 10% of your fab on Hollywood Brown. I'd probably recommend closer to 7 to 8%, honestly. Let's talk about Quentin Johnston. He's rostered in 9% of leagues. I would recommend 8 to 10% fab at most. He ended up playing a lot bigger role than many people thought. He played on 53 of 65 offensive snaps, ran routes on 36 of 41 possible routes, and was targeted 7 times. And he did score the 2 touchdowns, 5 receptions, 79 yards, 2 touchdowns. But it's important to be careful because he did rank 3rd on the team in targets. I think they're going to be ramping up Keenan Allen more and more, although he's probably going to miss time because he's Keenan Allen and he's old. The touchdowns did propel Quentin Johnston here, but I would honestly expect that usage to be about the same. Now, he's probably going to be playing on the outside most of the time with Keenan Allen in the slot. Lad McConkey's going to be playing some slot wide receiver as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how this goes forward. But based on what we're seeing in week 1, Quentin Johnston, I would add him over Xavier Worthy. Like if it's between or Xavier Worthy over Hollywood Brown, because I think his role is going to be more solidified in the offense, and it's not going to be dependent on an injury for him to possibly produce. Now, he's going to be boom bust most weeks, but the boom case is what we saw on Friday night. 5 receptions, 79 yards, 2 touchdowns. I would add him before I would add Hollywood Brown, not Xavier Worthy, because Xavier Worthy is not available on the waiver wire. Let's talk Cedric Tillman. Again, this is the week for wide receivers. If you need wide receivers, if you went RB heavy in your drafts and you need a replacement for Xavier Worthy, assuming he misses time with the shoulder, Cedric Tillman played on 67 of 76 offensive snaps, ran just as many routes as Jerry Jeudy, 46 of 48 possible routes, was targeted 8 times. He's the clear wide receiver 2 in Cleveland, and he's playable as long as Joe Flacco's the quarterback. His final stat line, 5 receptions, 52 yards, and a touchdown. I would recommend anywhere from 6 to 8% of your fab on Cedric Tillman if he's available. If you want to go up to 10%, I'm fine with it. But again, it's week 1, going into week 2. I wouldn't go crazy with these fab bids because I like to save a lot of my fab money for those running backs that are going to be bell cows when, those injuries are going to occur. Like we're probably not going to run clean like we did last year with running back health. So I will say, though, this is the week. If you need a George Kittle replacement, there are a lot of good options on the waiver wire. And the best one, in my opinion, is Juwan Johnson, rostered in 2% of leagues. I wouldn't recommend spending much more than 3 to 5% of your fab budget on him. Maybe 6 to 7% if you really want to get him. He played on 74 of 75 offensive snaps, ran routes on 47 of 49 dropbacks, was targeted 11 times. The Saints are going to be playing from behind all season long, and Johnson is the clear tight end 1. There's nobody standing in his way. He's my priority at the position. His final stat line this week, 8 receptions, 76 yards, 0 touchdowns. I think he's going to be a security blanket for Spencer Rattler or whoever is the quarterback there going forward. If you miss out on Juwan Johnson, and this is, again, why I'm not spending a ton of fab on these tight ends, Harold Fannin, rostered in just 2% of leagues, or Harold Fannin Jr., rather. He played on 55 of 76 offensive snaps, ran routes on 31 of 48 total route or possible routes. He out-targeted David Njoku 9-5. His final stat line, 7 receptions, 63 yards. I think he's more than usable in this offense, and we'll see. I'm skeptical that he's going to be able to out-target Njoku in other weeks going forward, but for now, his usage is very solid in the offense, and as long as Joe Flacco's playing quarterback, I think he's a fringe start at tight end. But Brenton Strange, I think, is a little bit better. He's rostered in 22% of leagues. Brenton Strange played on 52 of 66 offensive snaps, ran routes on 23 of 33 possible routes, and was targeted 4 times, but he caught 4 passes, 59 yards, 0 touchdowns. And I think he's the clear tight end, even though Hunter Long caught the touchdown there. I think Brenton Strange is the tight end that you want in Jacksonville. And I think all of those guys are suitable replacements for George Kittle, and I think they're widely available in your leagues. But again, I would prefer Juwan Johnson. Let's get to some quarterbacks. If you need a quarterback, and I don't know why you would at this point, or maybe you're disappointed in your quarterback's performance, Michael Penix. If you want to stash Michael Penix, he's rostered in 33% of leagues. Again, all these players I'm about to mention, I don't think you need to spend more than 3% of your fab, somewhere in 1 to 3% range. But Michael Penix is going to be important to monitor the Drake London injury. But Penix looked great in week 1, and it looks like the Falcons have finally decided, thank God, to feature their weapons. Bijan in London and Pitts. Also Mooney, he could be back for week 2. We'll see with that shoulder. But Michael Penix, final stat line, 27 of 42 passing, 298 yards, a touchdown, 0 interceptions. He ran the ball, which we like to see. 6 rushes, 21 yards, and a touchdown. He extended there towards the end to take the lead. It's either to take the lead or to tie. But again, Michael Penix looks like a decent start at the quarterback position if you need somebody to stash for a bye week. Again, speaking of somebody to stash for a bye week, Daniel Jones. It's going to be interesting to see how he progresses as the season goes on. This could be a case of the Dolphins just suck, and Daniel Jones took advantage of it. Either way, Daniel Jones was awesome in week 1. He completed 22 of 29 passes for 272 passing yards, a touchdown, 0 interceptions. But we know what we're getting with Daniel Jones on the ground. We get some upside there. 7 rushes, 26 yards, 2 TDs on the ground. I also think these weapons in Indianapolis were underrated throughout draft season. I mean, it turns out Michael Pittman was underrated this year. It looks like it based on his usage. Jonathan Taylor's really good. We knew that. But Tyler Warren looked really good on Sunday as well. And then you have Josh Downs and Alec Pierce. I think that's a really nice supporting cast for a journeyman quarterback like Daniel Jones. Now, this next player, we're going to talk a couple more wide receivers and a running back. Kayshon Boutte is interesting. Boutte or Boutte, I don't know exactly how you say it, but Kayshon Boutte is very interesting because his week 1 usage was incredible against the Raiders. He was on the field for 58 of 71 possible offensive snaps, ran 44 of 53 possible routes, and was targeted 8 times. All of those stats led the team, or at least tied for the lead on the team in those respective categories. He was also able to produce 6 catches for 106 yards, and it's going to be interesting to see if this kind of usage continues. But when you look around on the roster, Stephon Diggs is there, Demario Douglas is there, Hunter Henry. There's really not too many people that really stand in the way of him being on the field for as much as he was. Now, I don't know if he's going to produce 106 yards on 6 catches every week, but I think the usage might be there from week to week. But we need to monitor this situation. Either way, I would be interested in picking him up. Maybe if you have to go to 4 to 5% just to get him, I would. This usage was just fantastic for Kayshon Boutte. So it's going to be, again, we're going to have to monitor it going forward, but I'm a big fan of that usage. And Wan'Dale Robinson, again, Wan'Dale Robinson rostered in 20% of leagues. He was on the field for 52 of 68 offensive snaps, ran 37 of 45 possible routes, and was targeted 8 times. He turned those 8 targets into 6 catches for 55 yards. And while the upside isn't necessarily going to be there for him, and certainly he doesn't have much touchdown upside, he's going to be usable in PPR leagues. And Russell Wilson's going to have to play better. But the good news is the Giants do have some capable backup quarterbacks, mainly Jameis Winston. Now he's going to throw some picks, but who cares for fantasy football? And then the ultimate wild card is Jackson Dart. If Jackson Dart gets some starts and is good, that could be really good for Wan'Dale Robinson. That could be really good for Malik Neighbors too, if people are panicking on those two guys, or on Malik Neighbors. Let's get to Isaac Guerendo. Now, I know Brian Robinson is the backup running back, but you never know what might happen. And Guerendo is just a stash for now. You're not playing him, but having a running back in a Kyle Shanahan system seems like a good idea. CMC's usage was insane. He was on the field for 58 of 76 snaps, 29 of 39 possible routes run. He was targeted 10 times, had 22 carries, and in total, he touched the ball 31 times. Now, that's great for fantasy, but I don't know if it's so much good, if I can speak words. I don't know if it was good for his long-term health, if he's going to be continued to be used this way. I thought that's what Brian Robinson was for, to be a buffer between CMC, to keep him healthy throughout the season. And if CMC does go down with an injury, yes, Brian Robinson is a smash there, but having the handcuff already stashed on your roster seems to be a good move to me. And again, he's rostered in just 14% of leagues, and I bet you can get him for like 1 to 2% of your fab right now. Some trade targets here at the end. I'll only have a couple this week because honestly, I could recommend Jamar Chase. I guess I'm recommending some high profile names, but I don't think anybody's going to trade you Jamar Chase. Brian Thomas Jr., if anybody's panicking on Brian Thomas Jr., he did score the rushing touchdown, but when you look at the Jacksonville Jaguars and their offense against the Carolina Panthers, I would expect that many people thought he would have a much better day at the office. He did have a rushing touchdown, but if anybody is panicking on Brian Thomas Jr., I would be right there to scoop him up. I think there are better days ahead. He was targeted 7 times, again, had that carry for a touchdown, was on the field for 57 of 66 snaps, 33 routes run. So 33 of 33 routes run. So he's on the field for 100% of the route share. So again, better days are ahead for him. Better days are ahead for Nico Collins as well. This was a weird game in the sense that it was a defensive battle, and neither team could really get much going on offense. Now, the Houston Texans defense is really good, and it's possible that they're going to be playing in a lot of these close knockout, drag out, fight, stone, rock, fight games. I don't know what I'm saying here, but Nico Collins' usage was really good. 30 of 34 routes run, 53 of 63 snaps. He was on the field. He was only targeted 5 times, but he led the team in that category. So again, I think better days are ahead for him. So I wouldn't panic. I would hold. If anything, if somebody's panicking, I would go out there and buy him. I think a running back that I wouldn't mind having, especially now that Tank Bigsby's been traded from the team, is Travis Etienne. If you're looking for a running back to buy high, I think Javonte Williams and Travis Etienne for this season, their roles are solidified. And if you want the handcuffs to those guys, go out and add them on the waiver wire if they're available. Bashul Tutin's not going to be available on the waiver wire, but Miles Sanders, he might be. So again, Javonte Williams, Travis Etienne, I would wait. For now, I'm holding, but I would be intrigued to buy those players, take a chance if you need a running back, especially in RB2. I think Travis Etienne and Javonte Williams, very, very promising buy high type players. And I especially with Javonte Williams, I just think he's going to be the guy. So again, to wrap up, BTJ, Nico Collins, Javonte Williams, Travis Etienne. We have some buy lows and buy highs there for you. So again, let me know what you think in the comments. Click the like button, subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, be good, everybody, and we will see you later.